I don't want you to over race. We will get to the highlight of the weekend, but I have some other things to discuss with you first.
Okay.
All right. I want this to be, do you reckon self-reported like things happen in the jockey's room? So I put my hand up. I did the wrong thing. Do you reckon that happens? Self-reported like self-reported stewards inquiry?
God. No.
Well, I want you to be the chief steward because I have something that I need to self-report here.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So as you very well know, and I think the drifters would as well,
Yeah.
we're pounding the pavement. We're training towards a half marathon.
Yeah.
So this morning, knocked out 16 at the best.
Yep.
Longest run in my career to date. But, you know, early on in the run was doing some really slow splits just to get the body moving because it was like 5 a.m, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's too early for me.
But I reckon about less than a kilometre in, I was like, you know what? I'm feeling good, a bit sweaty, getting the heart rate up. On my belly, I've got some chafe that early in. So I had to take the shirt off and I was lids off the entire time.
You had lids off.
For the remaining 15 kilometres.
Where were you?
The Brook. So I basically went from Staffordshire, this is people listening in Brisbane, basically Stafford City's shopping centre.
Yep.
Basically to Toombul shopping centre and back. So it's a fair clip.
It's a fair while.
Yeah.
And you went lids off the entire time.
Pretty much.
So people are recovering on Sunday mornings, probably blew themselves up the night before, and the only thing that's stopping them from absolute annihilation and, you know, chundering is maybe a nice greasy bacon and egg or sausage and egg McMuffin meal. Whatever takes your fancy. I don't judge either way.
No way.
Both have their merits. And they've unfortunately caught a glimpse of you before they've secured that meal.
I know. And there's a reason why I'm doing this half marathon as well. I'm not in lids off territory yet. No. I feel like I'm, you know, a few months away from that. But
when is it okay to be lids off?
I reckon.
Do you think you have to have a six pack?
To be honest, mate, I loved it. Because it was like,
I've got to admit,
because my nips have
quite erect nips.
They've had some chafe happen. So this is the thing, right? I did prepare. I put some Band-Aids on the nips. Band-Aids on the nips, but I did not anticipate. There must have been some like, you know, lining or something that was irritating it from my Friday run, but I did not expect that. I was like, holy, what is that? And then it was like a massive rash. I was like, I can't run like this. So
no, you can't.
Bang.
Lids off.
And
you enjoyed it?
To be honest, mate, I was in the hurt locker for that long that I honestly didn't care what people thought of me.
No. And if I see an innocent bystander running past me lids off, like, yeah, quick judge.
Yeah.
Like, you know, quick, like, oh, I don't know if you should be.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you should be doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna name names specifically, but his last name was Briggs. This guy we used to work with, G and I, at the bridge. And one day there was a fair few of us from the bridge having like a picnic and a couple of beers at the Kangaroo Point Cliffs. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we're just chilling, whatever, having a chat. I turn my head and I see this guy running towards us. Lids off, right? And I was just thinking to myself, I was like, that's not above the threshold. That's not an above threshold rig where you can be out in public showing it off and people are, you know, are like, you know what, respect. You had to earn that.
Yep.
It was definitely not above that threshold.
Okay.
Give G a little nudge in the ribs. Check this out. Anyway, gets closer and closer. I was like, that's Briggs. So from now on, whenever G and I see someone who's running without a lid on and they don't pass the threshold, it's Briggs off.
Okay.
So, mate, you were officially Briggs off yesterday. Yeah. But look, I'm going to give you some credit. You passed the threshold.
Thanks, mate.
You're fine.
I appreciate that.
You're fine, mate.
Yeah, you know, I have some chest hair. I was just showing it off.
Exactly right. And, you know, drifters, depending on when you're listening to this, in less than 15 hours, Your boy's 31.
Yeah, true.
Dan Hutchins 31.
True.
Mate, you're not a 21-year-old.
No.
So no one's expecting you to have a rippling physique and an 8-pack.
No.
What do you got to prove to anyone now?
No, I've got a 2-pack. I've just got 2 up here and then down here.
Yeah, I've got the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Just these two, which have pretty much always been there, and
Yeah.
then just slowly but surely, just fades into nothing. Mate, who are you trying to impress?
Myself, mate. It's an inner battle. So
It is.
if I was judged, honestly, couldn't care less. But mate, yeah, 16Ks, getting through it. Now, I was in the hurt locker, especially late because I was ramping up the speed.
Yep.
I think my last split was like around 5 minutes, which, for me is pretty quick.
Yep.
At the end of 16, I feel like
That's good.
That was a decent effort.
Yep.
When I was in that hurt locker, there was only one thing on my mind. I was like, what would the second of Portsea do?
Do you know what she'd do, mate? She'd grind away and win.
Bang, baby.
Yes.
How bloody good, mate.
Oh, mate.
We said it. We said this. We marked her a $3 favourite.
We certainly did.
They put up $13.
In my market, to be fair, she was $3.20. So we had a slightly different market. But
on my stuff.
look, I put it through the computer and what it spat out was $3.20 for me. But we must have a slightly different algorithm. Ask me how I'm feeling.
How are you feeling?
So good, man.
Euphoric?
So good, man. Like
Euphoria.
This is what we deserve. I said it last time, but I'm going to say it again. This time's better because she was a bigger price, harder grade. Last race of the day on the Saturday.
Hey, you're forgetting the key thing. It was at the Mecca,
mate.
Eagle Farm, mate.
We were eagle farming. It just had a feeling about it the entire week. And I feel like this man's going to be brought up on the podcast a lot more often. But Ben Parche. He was just positive vibes all week in the office. He's like before the gates were drawn, he's just like, draw marble 4, we'll go bang. We drew gate 4. He's just like, boys, there's another sign. And he called me last night about 9 p.m. I reckon he would have had a couple of sherbets by this point. Benny Pace. He called me. He said, mate, as soon as I sent that email saying that I reckon we'll draw marble 4, had to put some money on one TAB, and as soon as we drew gate 4, mate, I just knew I just had to go again. I had to go again anyway. And anyway, on a Wednesday I had a bit of a fill up, so I had to go again. He's like, mate, I've cleared a decent collect on this one, mate. How bloody good. Sported Kings. We're Kings today, mate. So I was at my nephew's birthday party, and I felt sorry for him. No one even asked him how his birthday was going so far. Everyone just wanted to know about the horse and how I won and all that sort of stuff. I was like, oh yeah, no, it's pretty good, yeah. Oh yeah, I want some decent money. But anyway, how are you, nephew? He's like, mate, this is the best feeling. It's unbelievable. He's like, congratulations, mate. This is what it feels like. I was like, mate, congrats to you. Congrats to you for identifying the horse.
Yeah, bloodstock agent, Benny Pace.
Mate, he would be a phenomenal bloodstock agent. He certainly got the gift of the gab. Mate, yeah, it just puts a smile on your dial.
It does. Mate, you know what I learnt this morning, because the good people at High Caliber Racing, who we'll have on this podcast eventually, you met Dale, and I forget the other guy's name, unfortunately, but met them at the races yesterday. 2 of the absolute greats, so positive the entire time.
Oh, mate, they were awesome.
Mate, they posted today, apparently Chris Lynn of Waxham fame is in the ownership as well.
You're kidding.
No. So, we're heavy hitters.
Mate,
heavy hitters in this ownership.
Mate, there's,
Mate, she's had some rock stars roll through the ownership. Jack Gunston, Jared Roughhead, now Chris Lynn.
Yeah, and one of the most prominent owners in Australia is in it as well. Sneesby Racing.
Craig Sneesby.
And, the biggest podcast specifically on the north side of Brisbane is also involved.
In Stafford Heights, for sure.
She's, by association, she's a superstar, man. She's a superstar. Look, I was saying to you, half joking, but definitely half being serious. Build a picket fence this prep. Tip her out, bring her back for the winter. Start off with a listed, bang. Group 3, bang. Deep end, Stradbroke, bang. First mare home, which will probably be first, and then Tats Tiara. And we've got a dual Group 1 winning mare.
Mate, she's our Churchill, so she'll win the Q22. scrap all the Stradbroke and stuff. I think that's too short in my humble. Wait for age.
She
22,
can do both. She's dynamic. Don't listen to him, drifters.
20. Yeah, she'll run the same races on the same card. 2200. Wait for age. Q22. Target the Caulfield Cup. Bang. She wins.
I would rather a Caulfield Cup than. Would you prefer a Caulfield Cup over a Stradbroke? I'd prefer a Stradbroke.
I think
because we're Queenslanders,
yeah,
mate.
Stradbroke.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
So okay, we're training her as a sprinter this prep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next
and then next year she'll carry the top weight as the mare.
Yeah.
In the Caulfield Cup.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the minimum we deserve. That's actually the minimum we deserve.
Let's indulge, shall we?
Oh yeah, of course. This is our podcast, drifters.
Yeah. And you know what? Copyright be damned. We're listening with the commentary on here.
Going forward as well.
So she sits in the same spot as last time.
The second at Portsea,
3 back defence.
Nightcap
Her
around
favourite spot.
5
Barry
crowns.
Ford's her favourite
A
barrier.
length and a half centre shell. Now the favourite Oceans R's gone back to
Rails
second
run
last.
specialist.
Oceans R, were the O'Day Hoisted stable.
We
So
gave it absolutely none on this podcast.
So professional punter, Henge. So he actually, you saw him prior to the race, and he was like, "The favourite's got
Oceans
none."
are back second last,
potted the
about 8 to 9
favourite.
lengths
He
off
said,
the leader.
"Oh, you guys got
and
a
still
decent
last of all
chance."
is Eldonari.
Yeah.
So down
So he
the
wasn't
side,
completely
Kinetics in
dismissive,
front by
right?
3 quarters. Second,
maybe he was just being
third
nice,
is
but,
All's
yeah,
Fair.
the proof's in
Fourth,
the pudding.
outside
All
is
right.
Bella Tavares.
So where are we?
A length and a half to the second at Portsea on the
Yeah, it's
inside.
600 from home, I think.
Creeping forward as
Yeah,
Nippers,
that's the
Nightcap
600
3
there,
wide.
so,
Likewise, Lady
you know,
Ladar,
she
1 horse away
had
from
plenty
the
of
fence.
room,
A
and
length and a half,
I
5
said to you
crowns
immediately
outside
after the
centre
race,
shell. Oceans are still second last out.
I
3
thought
wide on the track.
if Damien
Spots
actually
the
stuck
speed
to the
about
inside,
6
she
or
wins by
7.
2.
Eldonari.
You're kidding.
Oh, you're kidding.
We are victims of technology here. That sucks. That stinks, man.
That absolutely sucks.
But yeah, I thought she.
Anna?
Oh, get absolutely fucked. Anyway, let me sort this out. But I thought if she stuck to the inside, she actually wins by further.
I completely agree. Because she was in such a good rhythm throughout the run, and Damien knew what he had underneath him. Like he was arrogant. He does a full 180 turn of the head. Try and get some room.
So she was on the fence.
And then we've got 3
I don't even know what lane that
the
is.
inside centre shell.
That'd be the 8th lane.
Yep.
Down the outside
Loses
of Lady
3
Ladar,
lengths at least.
likewise Bella Tavares, just in behind those.
Just
the second
grinds
of
away,
Portsea.
mate.
She has
Opens
zero-
across the widest
zero
down
turn
the
of foot.
outside. They're stretched across the track. Centre
Just a
shell
grinder.
driving through. Schmoozer, the second of Portsea down the outside, runs home well. We've got Schmoozer, centre shell, the second of Portsea out wide. Centre shell, the second of Portsea.
Yes!
The second of Portsea. I think it's got up to win from centre.
Mate, through the line.
Oh, that's the best part of it. Look at her. She's smoking them.
Lady Ladar,
Spanking
followed
'em.
then by Eldonari. Then we
Oh,
had
mate.
Bang.
She just was absolutely traveling in the run. Her rhythm was beautiful. Damien knew, and he was like, I need to get this pony out because otherwise it'll be a tragedy beaten. And she just gets there, mate. Well, get her out to 2,000 metres.
Well, should we? I agree, 100%. Should we hear what the great man Jack Bruce has to say about this situation?
Yeah, of course.
Because after every run, any trainer worth their salt will be giving you a synopsis of how they thought this girl ran.
And he wasn't at the track. He was down.
Congratulations, everybody, with the second at Portsea yesterday. It was great to get another win, and she's a 2 out of 2 this preparation, which is difficult to do, and she's done a great job. So I thought she may be a little bit vulnerable up to the mile, but she was strong late, and it really does help to have that cosy run in transit through the first half of the race. It just means you have a little bit more petrol in the tank, and we've been lucky with these low draws. We've had good runs in the race, and that's enabled us to finish off strongly. So I did have a couple of jockey videos sent to me with there's a bit of a kerfuffle and a ruckus, and I wouldn't say they're particularly clear, but I did have a long conversation with Damien Thornton last night when he was driving home, and he seems firmly of the view that the horse will get out to 2,000 metres at some stage, and
Cox Blade.
said very clean-winded, and although I've sort of been of the opinion she's a little bit big through the preparation, he said you don't have to worry, you can sort of head out and trip. So I do take that on board. I probably wouldn't head out and trip just yet. There's other mile races and opportunities, and I probably would rather give her another one at least at a mile before we look to step her out any further. So on that basis, in 2 weeks' time, there's a benchmark 78 mile at Eagle Farm. She'd get in with a light weight, and it would be another another probably equally significant step up in grade, or if we wanted to race in the same grade, we could go back to a 68 mile on the 20th of March at Doomben. So we just have to see how the cookie crumbles. Obviously she enjoys running from low draws. It just helps her get an easier spot in the run. She doesn't have to get too far back, and it'll enable her to have conserve energy through the run and finish off well. But congratulations everybody, it's great to win on a Saturday, it's great to bank that extra prize money, and she's done a sterling job this preparation, the second at Portsea, so long may it continue.
I couldn't have said any of that better myself.
Word for word, that was exactly what he needed to say. Long may it continue.
Yeah.
You mouthed the 2 words. Cox Plate.
Are we idiots? Probably.
Mate, do not speak of yourself like that. That is firmly on the agenda. Mate, Alligator Blood won a Stradbroke and then ran in the Cox Plate later on that year.
Well,
are you telling me he's any better than her? Is that what you're saying?
No, possibly. At this very early stage, I think he has a better CV. I think that's...
Yeah, slightly better. I think he'd won a Group 1 by this point.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Benchmark 68, 78 next.
Mate, benchmark 78s. Mate, we punt on those every weekend. That's our gravy.
Yeah.
That's what we punt on a Saturday.
We might actually have to start previewing them on this podcast.
We might have to.
The 78s.
Mate, I would love to have a benchmark 78 horse.
Yeah.
But I think when we start hitting the big stuff, the benchmark 100s, that's when we'll be doing our best work.
Yeah. Because honestly, benchmark 100 horses, they are just so easy to read. As soon as they get out of their class, they're no good.
And benchmark 100 races, I feel like they take it in turns.
Yeah.
They take it in turns to win. And one day it'll be our turn. Oh, just look. And you know what? The high caliber boys said this to us word for word yesterday. They said, boys, there's nothing wrong with R&Ping the 2,000 metre races up here in Queensland. I was like, I'm on board with that, boys.
Yeah. They sent out another email this morning basically saying exactly that, going like, as soon as she gets to 2,000 metres, that's when the class really drops away up here. Like, that's why Wallace sends his bloody kiboshes of the world up here.
Big Boy Roy's.
Big Boy Roy. Yeah.
Hey, Big Boy Roy, R&P's up here.
Yeah, and during the Winter Carnival, Godolphin sends some up here as well.
Yeah, and we've R&P'd because of that.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't because I couldn't get on.
Mackenzie Jones.
$20, 20 to 1. That's unbelievable. Anyway.
So she was $16 about 2 minutes before the jump, and then she was smoked late into 13s, and then obviously there was a scratching at the gate as well, if you didn't know. So 9-cent deductions if you're wondering why you got some unders there. But the last thing we'll say about this, we're looking at her in the mounting yard, and I said this to you. There was some other connections there, and they were a bit chirpy, which is fine. All is fair in love and war. For Lady Ladar, right? So one of the connections there was like, "Oh, Portsea, look how fat she is." I was like, "Oh, okay, mate."
All right, you don't know what you're looking at when it comes to horse flesh, mate. But anyway,
maybe she's so fat because her heart is so big.
Yeah, big ticker,
maybe. But like their horse, basically, as the crowd got bigger, as soon as it came around the front of the crowd, it started getting on its toes, and a few of them did that, and she finished fourth in, to be fair. But Portsea, mate, head on the chest, just playing with her tongue in the tongue tie.
Mate, she is the most relaxed horse on planet Earth.
She is a sensationally placid horse, and I said to you, when she does get to like the grand final day, when the crowds are enormous, she's going to handle the occasion.
Oh, mate, when the Moonee Valley crowd, Cox Plate days, it's like a coliseum, just arching over the track, looking down at you. She'll just take it all in her stride, mate. She was so relaxed, and do you know what? The yard is actually, this is stating the obvious, but it is so important, mate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like seeing her in the yard yesterday just made me so much more confident. Yeah. I was like, well, she's not going to run a bad race based on this.
No.
Like she can't.
No, and she has a stayer's walk. Yeah, like she looks like she needs further. To be honest, like the others at the mile, I feel like it's like a kind of a mixture of the two, but you can. The day we saw it was Queensland Derby Day. So Kovalika, lovely, long, striding action. But
so he's a 1,300, 1,400 metre horse, isn't he? Unbelievable.
But then like the worst horse I've ever seen paraders. Think about it.
Yeah.
He is a fucking nutcase.
He's a
that thing.
nutcase, yeah.
But he just that's him.
Yeah.
And you'd actually be worried if he doesn't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And they figured him out. He just goes around a couple of times and they get him out there.
Yeah.
And he just is
He's
constantly
ready to race.
constantly walking around. So yeah, 100%. And that's why getting to the track as well, you pick up on these things.
Big in for 2024. Getting to the track, especially if you're in the ownership group.
So, a couple of listener questions. Craig Sneesby, how many in a row will the second of Portsea win? It's a good question, Craig. And let me answer it like this. I'm going to Bunnings later because I think she needs some help building that picket fence that she's about to do.
Well, she's got the 2 posts on either side.
So next one's a cricket wicket.
Yep.
And then that's officially a picket fence for 2 more. So we're halfway there.
Yeah. So, and that's the minimum that we expect. We think 4 in a row.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think 4 in a row and then tip her out.
Tip her
bring her
out.
back for the Winter
Yeah.
Carnival.
Yeah.
Tip her out. I'll be straight on the blower to Jack as soon as she wins that 4th one, benchmark 84. Jack, tip her out.
Yep. Thanks. Thank you. And then I reckon Gingergram 79. That's Big Red, right?
Potentially.
What weight will Portsea carry in the Stradbroke? Excellent
It's a
question.
phenomenal question. Phenomenal question. And, we've given this some deep thought and analysis in the last 24 hours as well, Big Red. By then, her rating's going to be pretty high. So she might be mid-weighted, maybe a 54.
Yeah. So she's won 72 grand in prize money for 2 starts.
Yeah, yes.
Outstanding.
That's phenomenal.
And, to me, she's going to get better with each run. So, anyway, incredibly exciting. Unlucky to Jack Gunston and the Hawthorn boys for getting out of this horse. What could have been, boys? What could have been?
Yep, 100%.
Now, let's have a look at the undercards.
Let's have a look at the rest of the dross.
Let's go to Flemington first because I feel like we need to discuss what happened at Randwick more.
Yep.
Flemington. So, I've got my little notes here. For the day, position at 500 metres with the winning for the horse who won. No further back than 5th. And there was only one horse that came from 5th, and that was Southport Tycoon. So basically, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that were first coming into the 400 metres. Aaron Bay was second, and then Sands Doubt, Doot, Tissue, can't believe that, were 4th, and then Big Watch was 3rd. And then, Southport Tycoon was 5th. So I think that that Southerly Breeze, I was looking throughout the program, they typically say it's like, when it gets to 20, 25 kilometres an hour, it basically comes through that chute at the back end, basically. So it's like from the rail towards the grandstand, basically. Yep. So if you think of that, you want, in the straight races, you basically want cover grandstand side. So you want to be inside horses, which I actually don't think actually mattered that much in the straight races, but I think it did have an influence on the circle races. I think.
Yep.
Plus, good for a Flemington. I think it's hard to make ground at the best of times. So with all that in mind, I'm probably going to be bonusing anything that ran on. Australian Guineas did have a question as well from friend of the podcast, Josh Bell, and he's quite to the point with this.
He's an astute judge.
Do you neglect doing the full form sometimes because you've declared one? For example, Riff Rocket. Now, if you take like the pointed nature of that question away, I think it's actually a pretty valid question.
Phenomenal question.
Yeah.
And yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Like before the fields were even announced, for the feature races, I already had my picks.
Yeah.
And which is dangerous. It is.
Yeah. And so, but you obviously adjust based on like where you because even when you do your picks, you would map out where you think the speed is and all that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah.
And Barrier 9, we both were like, okay, I think that's good enough. That's good enough.
Yeah.
Riff Rocket, I reckon, is I'm not glad. He's still $9 for an Australian Cup. I think that confirms that he goes there instead of sticking to the mild. I think he does need further because his late work was pretty solid. Southport Tycoon was just as good. Tell you what Jamie Carr did do though. She got on the back of the right horse, V8. Basically, V8 has done this twice now where he's basically not run out the mile, but has run a really solid race. obviously advantage to be on speed. He gets to the 1,400 metres, then his class just kind of gets him to the mile. But Jamie, on the back of V8, I think she's been on the back of V8, so she probably knows what's under the hood. On the back of him, pops out at 300, says ta-ta, see you later, bang.
Gun ride.
Southport Tycoon third up.
Yep.
So Southport Tycoon third up, V8 third up as well. Riff Rocket was second up. Bit of second up syndrome was struck. Not for the second of Portsea though. Second up for Riff Rocket. I think you could say he was a little bit flat, just not as dynamic first up. Quintessa was bloody millionth up. Vidad second up. Hey Fat Cat ran sixth. So I think, yeah, that's my general summary. I think Jamie 10 out of 10 ride on the back of the right horse and got out of his way when he was probably starting to regress.
Yeah, in our preview podcast said V8's a 1,400 metre horse, which still rings true, but I sort of said it in a neglect sort of way, like don't think he can win. When I actually, sat down and had my meeting with the victim on Friday afternoon, I was looking at the race, and particularly after you mentioned the breeze, I thought, well, V8's the map horse.
Yeah, 100%.
Which made me think he was a red hot crack, and I think I texted you before the race saying if he wins, I might have to retire. So I was very glad that he got beaten, to be honest. But yeah, you're 100% right. Jamie Carr, it took her a while, and fair enough, but she's in unbelievable form at the moment.
2 Group 1s in 7 days.
Yep.
Bang.
Unbelievable form. And Southport Tycoon, you were really keen on him first up.
Oh,
he ran second. I think we were both really keen on him second up. He ran second. Third up, Kieran Maher. Yep. This has always been the grand final. Yeah. Riff Rocket, I thought it was a little bit of a bizarre ride, personally. And then I watched the replay, and you could tell Willow was just trying to get him some cover. So
I thought your initial assessment, and I told you as much, was a bit harsh. Not really sure what else you want him to do from there. I think out to 2,000 metres in the Australia Cup, this horse is going to be so hard to beat.
Smaller field.
Oh, yeah.
Smaller field. For me, the issue with going immediately across and having... I think he's a horse who needs to have horses inside him. I think that's the key to Riff Rocket, because he has that nice, long, graceful action. He needs to have some clear room so he can start to rev up the engine and get to his top speed. And the key to him is a sustained top speed that a few other horses can sort of match. So, but he ran third. He ran a pretty good race.
Yeah, I think in a field where him and Quintessa were easily the best closers, I think, like for me, God, watching this on about 2 pixels right now. That's him there, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So barrier 9, Willow finds basically the fence, midfield.
Do you reckon that was instructions?
Yeah, mate. Waller's horses always go back.
Yeah.
Like, you know what you're signing up for. Like, I think in the Derby he sat pretty close.
Yeah, he did.
And that was his class. You know who I actually end up having a bet on, because with that, I saw the writing on the wall. I'm like, ugh, I just don't know where he's going to get to. I thought the map horse was Verdad.
Verdad, yeah.
So I had a little bet on him. I wanted him to lead. I really did, but he was close enough, like sitting in the first 4 there, that he had every chance. But I think was it Jai on? I think Jai said he's looking for further now, and he's kind of shown that as well. I think he's best when he does lead though.
Yeah,
at a bit of a genuine clip.
Yep.
Yeah. So Riff Rocket, he is inside people. Look at Jamie here, just free air. And to be fair, he's like right on the back of Southport Tycoon, and then Southport Tycoon puts a couple of lengths on him pretty quick. So, but Riff Rocket was, solid enough to and through the line where for an Australian Cup, he's going to be with that weight relief as well. He's going to be awfully hard to beat, I think.
Yep. Agreed.
Alrighty. So let's have a look at the Group 1s in Sydney as well. So How quick do we forget? Not necessarily you, but it's the second time Nash has done this on Think It Over.
Yeah. Nash is hot, mate.
So you know how I said that the other week, last week, just a reminder why I'm the best one in Sydney. Here's the actual video. I found it. So let's have a look here.
On back to the 1200, Nash, was that the key?
And a good ride. For some reason, everyone thinks the fence is off, so I've snagged across their backs and gone straight to the fence, and no one wanted to be there. So just a reminder of why I'm one of the best in Sydney.
He's right, though.
So that was at Canterbury, right? That was at Canterbury on February 23rd. You can bloody cut and copy that. Cut and paste that to yesterday. That was a fucking, ride of the day, easily.
Oh, easily, mate. He's I said it on the preview podcast. He's got that in him. Nash will come out with an absolute perler.
Yeah. And he gets on with this horse.
Yeah.
So bloody well.
And do you know what the difference is between this horse and Fangirl? Is where he puts himself in the fucking race, mate.
Yep.
You knew she was going to go back from that barrier, but the first up performance was so good that you're just like, it's just going to negate that.
Yep.
And this is why she's not the best horse in the country.
Yeah. And
for this reason exactly.
I think we were both leaning that way. Basically, we want to see basically a picket fence and a prolonged like assault on basically the best middle distance races that the country has to offer. Then you're doing what Brightside's doing.
Animo wins this race.
Yeah. 100% he does.
So
yeah.
Look, and I'm not potting Fangirl at all. No. This is just her pattern, and we know that as punters. This is a low percentage pattern.
Yep.
And you can have all the talent in the world, which she does, but you're not going to have a high winning strike rate racing like that.
Now, you look at who she's following in here. That's Arapaho, and that's Navajo Peak. Two of the worst horses to bring her into the race, 100%. So basically, this is a complete flip from her first up run where she wasn't that far away, and Nash just stole about 2 to 3 lengths on the inside lane, which I think was a bit overplayed on the day.
Yep.
It was only soft 5.
Yep.
Like, the track, I think this was... Oh, she's finished off really well here.
Oh, she's run brilliantly, mate.
Yeah. And but her pattern just stinks. And, I think she's had... That was her 8th or 9th start at Randwick. She's only won once there.
Because of her pattern. Like, that's just it's going to keep happening. Like, which is why, and we both said it on the preview podcast, that price for her is not a betting proposition.
$1.30.
It's not a betting proposition. Like, and $1.30 for both of us. We're not diving into horses at that price ever. But, but for her especially, mate, like $1.30 for her versus $1.30 for Storm Boy. Like, that's just completely different gravy, mate.
Yeah.
Because you know where he's going to be in the run.
Yeah. I wasn't as hot on Storm Boy, but wasn't that a performance? We will get to that. But Fangirl, 11-second last 200-meter split, which wasn't by all means like the fastest, but it was a mile race with a ton of shorter races. So like she's run out of her skin, and considering she was vetted morning of because she knocked a hoof or something.
Yeah, her hind leg or something.
So that can't possibly help. So if she's had an off day, right, and she's only beaten by less than a length, like I think you still have to be with her moving forward.
So she'll go to the George Ryder, okay? 1,500 metres, drifters, okay? If she draws a gate in that race, okay? If it's a dry deck, okay, that's when you're absolutely long.
If
though. Wouldn't be saying that about Animo.
No. Brightside, you wouldn't be saying that
you
about
wouldn't
him.
You wouldn't be saying that about him. So
that's where we said this last week. Brightside would be the best horse to own in the country.
Easily.
He's the best placed horse in the country. He's what Think It Over was about 3 years ago.
He was... That was the most well placed horse I think I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, he RMP'd.
Yeah, Kerry.
He RMP'd.
Fuck, just RMP'd.
PVL's back pocket.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I'll take that milli bonus.
Let's have
So
a
what's
look.
his prize money now?
It's what I was just about
What's
to
his
ask
prize
you.
money at?
Let's have a look, all right? What's your guess?
Okay, well, that race then was probably worth $1 million, if not more. He's won the Queen Elizabeth, which is about... He'd be at 10.
11.2. How many that was his third Group 1?
I think so. Queen Elizabeth, a handicap, and that.
Wow.
And
sorry. I've got to think about it. Not think it over. Sorry. I knew I was going to do that. Think it over. All right. 8.3. Still mind-blowing.
Mate.
That is a significant
For a
amount of
stable
cash.
like Kerry Parker's as well, which isn't big, that is so important.
Mate, so you think.
So I think tough old gelding. He's had a year off as well. 18 months even.
Oh, really?
The horse.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about so you think. I'm like, whoa, what happened?
His willy's not working. Yeah, no, I've got a lot of respect for that horse. I don't think I've ever found him.
No, you definitely did early days.
Did I?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, absolutely you did. You tipped him in his first Group 1 win, and he was like $20.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I think that was prior to this podcast, but yeah, you definitely have.
So yeah, and he's probably the reason why I want a tough old gelding by So You Think, to be honest.
Yeah.
One day for us, Hutcho, one day.
Yep.
But Fangirl, just finally on her. Is she the most talented horse in Australia? You could probably argue that.
Like,
is she the best horse in Australia?
mate, you know what this run reminded me of? And I haven't delved that far into the sectional data and how it was run early and all that sort of jazz. But the 7 Stakes, which think it over won it as well, mate, that was run at one of the most farcical speeds that you'd ever see.
Yep.
And she zoomed home for about 4th, and you honestly could not run quicker than what she did.
Yeah.
So yes,
Yeah.
she is the most talented, but she's not the best.
No.
Mate, there's heaps of talented footballers going around in the rugby league and the AFL. They're not the best footballers. The best ones are the ones that are consistent.
Nathan Cleary.
Yes.
But he's very talented.
He is very good.
He's very talented.
Yeah. Chalky Neal.
Chalky Neal.
Most consistent, but he's not the best.
No.
Even though he's won 2 Brownlows. No flags, though.
I'll change this year.
All right. Surround Stakes, Tropical Squall.
Tropical Squall.
I think do you put her in your numbers? I think you might have, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
You definitely said her name. I don't think I gave her any
I said her
consideration.
name because I like saying Tropical Squall.
Yeah, true.
First up, mate, I didn't give her a chance.
Well, mate,
She's a nap horse.
Well, Waterhouse Bot over the mile and Adrian Bott after the race. So if you are interested in Tropical Squall for the rest of the preparation, she's not heading to the Vinery. I think the riding is on the wall with that race.
She ain't a 2,000 metre horse, and yeah, the riding is on the wall.
So she's going to the Coolmore series. So she'll go to the Coolmore Classic into the other one.
The Queen of the Turf, whatever it is.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
So they're her next runs, and then she's also got a nomination in for the Doncaster.
Okay.
So,
so she'll get into the Donny on the minimum 50.
she's
she?
a 2-time Group 1 winner.
But I think
now.
it's too late now for them to impact the weights.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So I think if you...
Oh,
yeah.
we'd be able to look it up. Like they gave Brightside nominated again, which he won't go there surely. But he had 59.
Yeah,
Rightfully
toppy.
so.
Yeah.
So she clocked the exact same, different race, different setups, 1,400 meters versus 1,600 for Fangirl, but she clocked 11 last 200, which was really, really solid.
This is an absolute masterclass from Hippo, isn't it?
Yeah.
He stacked them up and just went bang.
I love that he won this.
Yeah.
I did not make my wallet any richer.
No.
But just a bit of a fuck you to the industry.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, you know what? I'm the guy.
Yeah.
You know?
If you gave me Stormboy, I wouldn't let you down.
Yeah. So
And guess who he beats?
yeah, I know.
Coolmore horse.
I know. So of those 4 home, Learning to Fly is probably the obvious one. Year off, 3 trials into the first up run absolute bottler. Second up, you're like, a little bit flat. First impression?
Yeah, that was my first impression. And she didn't look overly comfortable in the run either.
Yeah.
I saw that she sort of went further forward than what I thought.
against her pattern.
Yeah. But got the good gate, so fair enough. Like,
And-
I think that's fair enough.
And the way that Randwick was playing on the day is probably where you want it to be.
So I've got no grudge against Chad there, and slightly disappointed because I was really keen on her.
Yeah.
And, you know, it would have been a significant collective.
I think she was still the first filly home from the light fingers because Tutor Levita back to the inside, sensational run.
We were right about Kumochi.
Yeah, is she even in the picture? Oh, there she is. Who's that? Oh, that's Rolling High. What a run!
What a run! I was keen on her, wasn't I?
Yeah. So and then the second, Steffi Magnetica, is that
Yeah,
horse's
Steffi
name?
Magnetica.
Oh,
Yeah.
where has this horse come from?
I tipped it down here, and it's like first up or second up run. I ran second.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
In the Snortboy Silks. So yeah, that was $51 into 17s on the day. Like massive plunge, and I'm hoping they got it on each way.
Yeah, hopefully. Nearly won. Bloody hell.
So yeah, and so Learning to Fly, last 200 meters, broke 11 seconds. So yeah, I think that's how good Tutor Levita's gone back on the inside because she's pipped her.
Just stacked them up. So
Yeah.
by the sounds of it, then they must have gone at a pretty slow pace for the first whatever.
Yeah,
6-8.
I'd say so, but like you look at these exposed fillies, right? So Macarena, tough run again. They actually went forward, lol. But yeah, she was good. Just probably a bit too tough for her to win from there. Rolling High was really nice. Kaimochi was just never in it, and she was the filly who we were pretty hard against. I thought she'd run better than what she did.
Yep.
Tears Invincible, where's she at? Christilli, she's not a betting proposition for me at all because
inconsistent.
she is way too inconsistent.
Yep.
And Arctic Glamour, she's fallen off a bloody cliff.
Yeah, the 3-year-old fillies are muddling. And this, again, we talk about it every fucking review podcast. Waterhouse and Bott.
Mate, honestly.
Because they put their horses they've got the right pattern, and there's so many of our Group 1s that are run at that pace, they're just going to, like, particularly with horses like Tropical Squall, where they're a betting proposition because they're sub $10 but not below 5s, and you just know they're going to be there in the track. If you're an each way bettor, especially, like you're gonna be making a profit.
Yep.
Like their pot must be so much better than the bigger stables.
And I think we're guilty of this, but I think the industry in general, like recency bias is like the thing that rules the industry more than anything.
Yeah, well, Fangirl.
Oh, mate, Fangirl, Learning to Fly, her first up
Riff
run.
Rocket.
Like Riff Rocket. Cinderella Days' trial.
Yeah, that was
All of these different things. It's like, all right, who's got the best resume here?
Yeah.
Tropical Squall's probably up there. Like, you look at her benchmark rating. I'm looking at the benchmark ratings here, right? She's the highest benchmark rated horse in the race. Second place, Zardozi, but she's a stayer. And her last 400, schmick. Very, very schmick. She was doing some really nice work late, but...
Will she win the Vinery?
Well, she'll win the... Mate, you know what I heard about Orchestral? One of the greatest wins I've ever seen. But
I've got something to say about her as well when we talk about her.
well, let's talk about her now. She's shortened up in the Vinery. So that 3-leg multi that we put out a couple of weeks ago for the the March thingo futures market. So Sunshine in Paris in the Galaxy, I think that's confirmed that she's heading there.
Yep.
Riff Rocket in the Australia Cup, and then Orchestral in the Vinery. So when we tipped that out, I think it was about 470-ish to 1. It's into 247 to 1. So it's heading in the right direction.
Hey.
Pays to listen sometimes.
It pays to listen very rarely. Okay, so Orchestral, that New Zealand Derby win, that's a special filly, mate.
And so they're not, they'll go like, yeah, Vinery, but after that we have a decision to make because they're like, we like cash. So they might even take it to the Derby.
As well.
So they might take it to the Australian Derby instead of the Oaks, which would be, imagine that. Could you imagine that?
Do you know what she reminded me of? Cruising to the front, her action, mate, Incentivize. You watch Incentivize, his action, just that really smooth, compact, like conserving energy action. Mate, hers is almost identical. It actually sent shivers down my spine watching that yesterday.
Mate,
when she cruised to the front.
So, all right, $1.30 pops, right?
Yeah.
She was $1.30, and she won by what, 6?
Oh, something ridiculous.
They're all $1.30 shots are not equal.
No, they're not. And $1.30 itself suggests that it's not immoral, right?
7 out of 10, basically.
Basically. 70% chance that it's, the bookies are giving it a 70% chance it's going to win.
So, Stormboy, right? $1.18 he started. And then Orchestral.
Another Will.
Another Will, right? So, I'd classify him outside of those two, right? But what do those two have in common? They're against their own age.
Yeah.
Fangirl, sure, our way for age ranks are not that great, but they're still these are the best horses going around at that current time.
Yeah.
She still has to run right up to her best to win.
Yeah.
So
you can't have an off day and win a Group 1.
No.
Unless you're like Winks or something.
Yeah, true. Yeah. But
she's also a goat.
She scared him off. Let's talk about the big fella, Stormboy. It was just pleasing to see.
Oh, it was just good to see.
Did not have a bet on.
Nah, not a cent on.
Not a cent on. And you know what, mate? I'm seeing some analysts on Twitter. Everyone's entitled to opinion. I'm not going to shit on anyone for having an opinion either way. But few experts going like, oh, is he looking for the 14 or mile already? Possibly. Mate, I think this was like an extended barrier trial for me.
Yeah, it was.
He was just J-Max only winner all day. He looks so arrogant here.
Mate, so arrogant.
I think this is the last time he races in these silks as well. Jumps into the Coolmore for the slipper.
Yeah. I actually heard the opposite. I heard that he's going to keep these silks for the rest of this prep.
That's not what Bruce said.
Oh, did Bruce say something else?
Bruce said, from the slipper, I think he races in
Coolmore.
Okay.
So I read what Rishi Kalander said.
I hope he's in these.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah. So that's Prost right behind him with 300 to go.
Prost went well.
Yeah. I think is that Prost or no, that might be Prost. That Divana?
Yep.
So Lizzie on the broadcast was really chatting up that horse, and it might be a champagne horse, but I think I've seen better prospects so far.
Yep.
I think. Traffic Warden is one. Fearless was very good in the Diamonds, and prior to that as well. And even that Extreme Diva, she was really, really smart. And then obviously this guy, he could be anything. And look at him, mate. He's jogging.
Look at the size of him.
I know. He's a tank.
He's a brute.
He's an absolute tank. $28 in the slipper. Is that one of the greatest futures of all time?
I think it's one of the greatest futures of all time. Unbelievable. Man, yeah, I was taken by that win. And the margin wasn't like uber impressive, but how he did it. Like they weren't going slow. He wasn't going slow, mate.
Time, right? So they would have beaten the fillies by about 2.5 lengths. And I think he was
ease down, mate.
Like if he was fully ridden out, you could extend that. The thing that we did highlight, right, in the review podcast with Hayasugi winning and whoever won the prelude for the boys, Bodyguard.
Yep.
They ran basically identical time. So this is where I think the Colts in Sydney
Colts, mate.
They are better.
Yeah.
Well, there was one guy who was significantly better. So they beat them by 2.5 lengths, but the last 600 as well. So they've run 5 lengths quicker, and he's doing that easy. But they did have the same weight as well. So I think in Melbourne, I think the boys had 1 more kilo. Yep. So for every kilo, you could probably add like a length or whatever. Length or 2 with 2 kilos. So, they probably run about even, but I think the way that he won suggests that he has plenty in the tank.
He was first up since the Millions win, which was
7 weeks.
7 weeks. So, like, he's come off a freshen up. He'll be fully wound up for the slipper, mate. Like, good luck, mate.
Yeah. Like, if you're looking for a case, right, for Manal, who was very good, the track was probably downgraded around then as well. So, she was probably racing on a softer track than what Stormboy was. We'll have the weight relief in the slipper. This is where you can, like, the data still, like, is, I think, advantage Stormboy at this point. And I'm not suggesting that this filly's, like, the second seed by any means. But if you're looking for a filly there, it's like, there's enough there to kind of suggest it, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But the one I really did want to highlight, and I think the source actually had this on top, but Extreme Diva. This, I think Chad actually got a reprimand for this ride, because he was not getting in the way of anything. I think this is a smart filly, Extreme Diva.
Yeah, it is.
And that's Fly, who goes right up beside her, and she finishes second as well. But Extreme Diva was very, very impressive. If she runs in a straight line, I think she doesn't overturn the result, but I think she runs far better.
Yep.
But Manal, I think it was Ronnie Dufficy's best of the day. He's like, there's nothing that beats this thing. And Ronnie was right.
He was right. So what beats Stormboy in the slipper? Not necessarily horses, but if he draws the widest gate, if there's heaps of tempo inside him.
So that's the thing, right? So if he draws 15 and you're taking a $2.30 ticket for him now, like, that is sickening stuff. Wait till the day now. Absolutely. There's absolutely no point. It's like when King's Gambit got into $3 for the Oakley Plate. So what are you doing?
Yeah, no.
Oof. So yeah, wide gate. You know, if straight charge draws the fences, the fence is on.
Yep.
You know, there's a lot of variables, and that's why the Great Game is so good.
It is so good.
Lentia was scratched from the Guy Walter, and Hinge she does forgotten how to win, doesn't she?
She has. She needs to go to the breeding barn.
Osbred Flirt was one that I was kicking up for. So I only saw the race like about halfway through. I didn't realise that she missed the start by 4 lengths. So that can't possibly help. And she lost by 3.5.
That doesn't help.
No, it doesn't. And I think she actually might have clocked the fastest last 200 of the day, potentially. And mate, I don't know where Joyce is at. She lost by 6 lengths.
Yeah.
First run in the Yulong Silks.
Breeding barn for her.
How does that make you feel? Because she was one of yours.
Oh, fine. Yeah, fine. She had a good career.
Mate, very good career. All right, let's have a look at the rest of Melbourne as well. We're going all over the place here. But so what do we want to talk about here? Estriella.
Yes. Shit, I forgot about her after the second at Portsea. Very pleased with that. Very pleased with that win. Best of the day for the victim. You know, and during the week was keen on her at $4. So, and she jumped at what, 320?
Yeah.
So
she was definitely the firmer.
Yeah, she was the firmer in the market. Yeah. Oh, I think she's a very good sprinting filly. Leave it at that.
Yeah. And I said this yesterday. In recent years, Racing New South Wales are clearly like winning the innovation stakes. But this English Sprint is a fantastic addition that Racing Victoria have done.
It is. It's good because it gives the 3-year-olds who are coming up in the autumn a chance to win a really good sprint race down the straight.
I want to see the Newmarket like this. I want to see them split.
Yep.
Massive field, and with Imperatriz there, will that scare a few off? I don't think so.
I don't think so because it's handicap.
She'll have 58.
Yep.
Like, she'll be weighted up to her best. So that's her back on the inside, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Leading the entire way.
Yeah, nice. And I think it was like the place to be. Cabolas was good into third as well. I think the second horse was quite good as well. I forget its name. Midnight Opal, going up and down in one spot, I think. So not to be for Nathan Doyle.
No.
They did mention it though. It's like, can you believe that this is Nathan Doyle's first ever time at Flemington? It's like, I've spoken into existence. But I said to you, I'm not convinced she 100% ran out the 1200.
I need to see a breakdown of how quick she went, because maybe she was just tiring because she went pretty quick up front.
And she had nothing else to, I think it was a really gutsy win because she had nothing else to follow.
Yeah.
I think she was really, really smart.
So where do you take her now? Like, would you take her to like a William Reid?
Oh, I'd take her to a Sangster.
Sangster, yeah.
Take her to Adelaide.
Yeah.
She'll be versing Charm Stone there. And some of the, Like, so they were saying yesterday on the broadcast as well. So first 5 past the post. So you had the Newmarket winner. You had In Secret. Sunshine in Paris, who got an Everest slot. You had Revolutionary Miss finished 5th, and she's now gone back to just absolutely RMPing Group 3 races against her own sex. And you also had another one in there as well.
What's this for?
The Surround Stakes from last year.
Oh.
So I'm thinking like the Surround Stakes this year. Oh, you had Ruthless Dame as well.
Yeah, right.
So she went over and won the Sangster, I'm pretty sure. So you could have any one of those fillies that finished behind, but they're all like staying fillies, I feel. So potentially like someone like Learning to Fly could go to a Sangster.
Yep. Learning to Fly definitely could.
She's invincible. She probably fits that mold for Kieran Maher.
Kieran Maher, yeah. Learning to Fly, I reckon she'd go to the Coolmore. She'd follow the same path as Tropical Squall, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know what her distance is. Learning to Fly.
Well, we've only seen her a few times.
That's what I mean. So I don't know what her distance is. She's by Justify, which suggests she can get out over further.
Yeah.
Which is what I find so interesting about Stormboy, because to me he looks like he's built like a brute sprinter.
Yeah.
Like a nature strip, like or a bivouac, like just a real muscular, powerful 1,200 meters. But you know, like you said, people are saying he's looking for further already. Dan O'Sullivan, the stats guy, said he's looking for further. He'll be better out over further. And I'm looking at him running, and I'm like, he doesn't shape like a miler to me.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know, just a gut feel that he's a sprinting horse.
Whenever I think it's because at the mile in particular, I find it really tough to pick those on-speed horses. Like, that's why I can't really get involved with Alligator Blood.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, someone's going to run down.
Yeah.
So far to like do it all the hard way. And he kind of fits that mold.
Yeah.
So I think that's immediately where my mind goes.
And maybe, I don't know. It's just interesting with him because as a 3-year-old, your options open up so much, right? That, like, if he, fingers crossed, he wins a slipper and, has a crack at the Triple Crown. And if he wins the Triple Crown, you're like, okay, cool, yeah, this thing's going to get out over further. But say he wins the slipper and they make the decision, oh, look, let's just spell him because he's done the job. He comes back as a 3-year-old. It's like, okay, cool. Is he going to run down the straight in a Coolmore on Derby Day? Or is he going to be a Caulfield Guineas horse into a Cox Plate?
Well, I don't
know.
I think that's where I think Haitotsu is also one of the most exciting colts going around who's at stud because he's won 2 derbies, but he's also won the Australian Guineas.
And he ran a Blue Diamond, which was bizarre to see.
So it's like, I think he, those horses, and I think Justify kind of fits that mold as well. It's like the ones who can do it over several distances, it's like, all right, that opens up our options a bit.
Yeah.
So I think that's where, ideally, if you have the talent, you want to get them. I think that's what they were trying to do with Arturis. It's like, all right, we've got the Blue Diamond, let's get him out to the mile. Let's win a mile.
He's a sprinter.
He was a sprinter.
And we've spoken about this on the podcast before. From a breeding perspective, the most impactful races we have for stallion prospects from a success ratio perspective in this country, I'm pretty sure number 1 or number 2 on the list is the Cox Plate.
Yeah.
And I think the reason for that is because every year a 3-year-old colt or a 2-year-old colt has an opportunity to win a Group 1 against its own sex. Every year there is an opportunity, in theory, for a horse with its nuts to win the Cox Plate, but it takes a really good one to get there and get the job done. So that tells me that the cream rises to the top. So if you're winning that race as a colt, you're a better colt than 99% of others.
100%. And I think that's where you look at the timing of it, right? So where my mind immediately went to is Fierce Impact. So I think he won 2 or 3 Group 1 miles.
Yep.
So he won the Cantala one year. He won the one at Caulfield, I think, as well.
He won the
Toorak. So he won the Toorak and he won the Cantala.
He won Wait for Age, beating Russian Camelot.
Yeah, he won
Mackay Diva.
He won the Mackay Diva. So he won 3 at the mile, right? But so the Toorak is handicap early-ish in the campaign. Cantala, he did on wet ground, so ticks that box against on Derby Day, which against like those ones at Grand Final Day. But the Mackay Diva, he was the only miler in the field, and it was early on in a prep. Cox Plate Day, every single horse there is on their grand final.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
They've peaked for the day. So if you're winning that as a stallion prospect, like you have to be like showing like an elite talent.
And this is why they can't move it. Like they were talking last year or the year before about moving the Cox Plate, and no, because it's the perfect spot for it because it's post Caulfield Guineas, it's post a couple of weight for age events leading into it. They can't move it.
Yeah. All right. A couple of quick questions. I think we've been yapping on for over an hour here. Lachlan Tricky. Fangirl was always going to go back, but do you think jockeys ride $1.30 favourites with a little bit of overconfidence?
J-Mac. No, because I think J-Mac would have known that she was going to go back. Like, J-Mac doesn't care about the price of the horse. No. He wants the Group 1. Yeah. So, he would have done everything in his power to win.
Yeah. Like, you see that, like, when there's no Group 1 racing in Australia, he heads over to New Zealand to ride orchestral in Group 1.
Yeah. So he'll move to Hong Kong permanently soon enough.
Yeah, for sure. And so I don't think so either. No. Like, I think they can overthink it. Craig Williams for one.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
He wants to win more badly than anyone else, apart from probably Chris Waller.
Mitch Coop. Fangirl. What the fuck? Well summarised. Yep. Nick Scala, was Riff Rocket unlucky or a bit flat after a big first up run? We kind of discussed that.
Yep.
I think he's well on track for an Australia Cup.
I think so.
And that's about it. Friend of the podcast, Marcus Williams, is in the ownership of Amenable. Have a look at his trials. He's been smoking them and they're riding him on speed now. He's been winning his trials by about 6 lengths. I've jumped on him in the Doncaster at $51, worth something really small, but he starts first up this weekend at Flemington.
Okay, good to know.
So I'm going to be having a look at the all-in markets and trying to secure the price because I think he'll have I reckon he'll have a lot of support on the day. I think he goes from there to the George Main.
So he's been gelded?
Yeah, been gelded.
Yeah, okay. Good to know, Drifters.
I think he ran 4th. He was the constant flashing light during the spring in some of those like Group 1.
Yeah.
I think in the Toorak he might have ran 4th or so.
I can't remember exactly, but yeah, he had a checkered spring, I'd say. So if they've gelded him and if he's racing on speed, that's a betting prospect for me.
For sure. All right. That's about it, mate.
I'm a winner, baby.
It's indulgent, but it needs to be.
Yeah, of course. Winners win, mate. And long may it continue in the great words of Jack Bruce.
One of the greats. All right. We'll see you Wednesday.
See yous.